right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to session 3 of our menu planner, our HPS University menu planner. And today we're going to work on our our recipes. I'm looking at a picture of a cheeseburger. So I'm going to get myself logged in here. I just want to make sure everybody's got your buildings in. You can check over here your change view to see your different buildings that you have. Our ingredients, last week we went over ingredients, how to check our ingredients. So if you have any questions on that, you can go ahead and we'll start there before we go forward to recipes. If you have any questions on bringing your recipes in or bringing your ingredients in or understanding your ingredients. So type those in the box if you have any questions. So it doesn't look like there's any questions on ingredients. So then we're going to go on to our recipe section. You'll notice as we do each step in the process that it gets a little easier each time. Each step we go, it gets a little easier. So recipes, just like when we were doing ingredients, there's different ways to search a recipe. We can search by these different columns up here, and there's different ways to keep recipes, find recipes. So it always defaults to this My Recipes box. And if we click in there, now we can see shared recipes. So these are recipes that have been shared within the menu planner program by anyone. You might want to, so if you have go to the shared recipe. If you wanted some new ideas on tacos, you could type that in. It'll bring in anything with the word taco in it. You could go through, you can find your recipe, something that you look like you're interested in. I can go over and I'm going to go to this peanut butter and celery sticks. So if I was interested in this one, I go over here to this detail on the right, click on that, and it brings up this recipe. I can look at it. If this looks like something I'm interested in, I can go ahead and then I can import this to my recipes. I've already done this, but we'll just do it again here. We're going to import that, then I have to fill in this information. It comes in already filled in, and we'll go over this a little bit more when we create a new recipe, but it comes in already filled in, and we can change this or we can keep this. So this is going to be a lunch, it's a vegetable, it's a no cook. There's 100 servings of this product. A serving size is half a cup. It's going to be called celery sticks with peanut butter. And then down here, I'm not going to make any changes. I use the same peanut butter. I use the same celery. I might put over here, if I want any instructions on the celery, this is where I would put it. You know, maybe if you have to clean the celery or cut to whatever size you want the celery, you could go ahead and do that. If you want to put a note down here, maybe use all that USDA commodity peanut butter first before you use anything else. Any kind of notes you want to put in here. It comes with the prep instructions because we imported it. If I wanted to add anything or change it, I can do that here. And then here's all of my meal component information, my nutritional information. And then we do have to go over here. We have to let the program know. The program's calculated everything for us. The USDA wants the school, food service director, whomever, to actually enter the information. So if you agree with the calculations of the program, go ahead and put this number in here, the number to the left of the box, into the box, or what you think the number should be. So we don't have a grain, we don't have a fruit, we don't have a red veg, we do have an other veg, so we'll go ahead and put that 0.5 here. And we've gone ahead, we've done all of that, and now we're going to save this recipe. And we can, I want to go to the one I saved. I've gone through and I did this and I added a picture. We went over that yesterday, same process. You save that as a JPEG into your files and you upload that and bring that in. And now I have my recipe for this. We can also import recipes. We can do that same process. We can import recipes from USDA and Gordon Food Service Making the Grade. And I'm going to try to bring in a recipe. I wrote the number down somewhere. I have a recipe I want to bring in. So I'm going to bring in 24194. This is a recipe from Gordon Food Service making the grade, the Parfait Yogurt Purple People Eater. So I want to bring this in. I just clicked on that when I did that. What's nice when you bring in a recipe from making the grade versus the USDA, you'll always have the Gordon Food Service item codes here. You do not have to use these items. These ingredients. It's just their suggestion. But for our recipe, I'm going to use these same blueberries, 166720. So I'm going to just type those in over here. It'll bring up my item. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to use these same strawberries, 244630. You'll notice that strawberries came in twice, seedless grapes came in twice. When that happens, just click on the red X over here. Any item you don't want, you can just click the red X on. I'm not exactly sure why this happens. It's my understanding has something to do with the background, with bringing in a PDF. I just know that when it happens, just click the red X. Okay, we're going to use the same granola, or excuse me, same yogurt. And then I'm going to use these grapes. 596922. I'll get rid of these grapes, and then I will use this granola. 335920. Must have done something wrong there. 335920. All right, now here are all those ingredients minus the granola. For some reason I was typing something wrong and couldn't bring it up. Not going to worry about that right now. So we have to let the program know some information. Is this a breakfast? Is this a lunch? This recipe is going to be a breakfast. Our category, it's going to be a breakfast entree. Our process will probably be same day service. This makes 100. Serving size. You have lots of options here. We suggest the simplest way is to put 1 and the unit of measure as a serving. But you'll notice on that last one we just did with the celery and peanut butter, that was a half cup serving. You can make it a spoodle, a scoop, and each, however you want to do it. We just find this to be pretty simple, and you can use it with anything. Then we have the name and the description. Just like when we did the ingredients, there was a name and a description. The description is what we're going to see when we're working in the program. The name is what is going to be seen on the published menu. So I'm going to change this to just say a berry yogurt parfait. I could assign this to a school, but I want this for my whole district. But maybe if I was making this and it was a smaller size, I had 2 of them, maybe I want to assign it to my elementary school. I could go ahead and do that here. Here's my ingredients. I could still try to add those that granola here if I wanted to. If I wanted to change an ingredient, I can do that. Maybe for some reason I'm using a different yogurt now. I could delete this yogurt. I could go into here in my item search and I could add a different yogurt that I'm now using. Because we imported this, we have all of our directions here. Again, you can make changes to them. And then just like with the celery and peanut butter, here's all of our nutritional and meal component information. And just like the previous recipe, we have to go in and we have to make these changes. Or not really a change, but we have to let the program know this information. So we agree with the meat. We're going to agree with the grain, or excuse me, the fruit. We don't have any grains because I don't have that granola. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this recipe. And then if I go to my recipes, I did this one earlier. And I added my picture. Here's my recipe. I can go ahead and if I think this is just a phenomenal recipe and I've had a lot of success with this, I could publish to shared recipes. Now, anybody who goes to look at the shared recipes for an idea would be able to find this berry parfait. I can export a PDF. I just have to kind of decide what do I want to include. Less will make it go faster. So I'm not too worried about seeing the picture. I wanted to see my meal component information. I want it to be in English. I don't really need my instructions, but I want to see my nutritional facts, and I can go ahead. I can export this to PDF. I'll open that up, drag that over, and then here's the PDF of this recipe. This is also what you would see when it goes into your recipe cookbook, and that's under the reports on the home page. Anytime you use a recipe on your menu, it will show up in your cookbook. So here is that information. Let's move that. Rounding, this is really nothing we need to worry about too much, but we can calculate the price of our recipe, just like we could on our ingredients. That's why we want to make sure everything at the ingredient stage is correct, because it starts to make a big difference going forward, and that's a lot easier to correct at that stage. So here's, because we have that relationship with Gordon Food Service, we can see our case price of all of our ingredients. We know how much comes out of a case, so it'll figure it out, and it looks like one serving costs $49. So I think something's wrong here with this yogurt at $50 a pound and $4,886.57. This is why I tell you when you're at the recipe stage to make sure you go through and double check your recipes. And clearly I did not do that. So I'll have to go back and look at this and fix it. Usually it works pretty good though. And then lastly on recipes, we can create a new recipe. So it's the same screen, but now it's blank. So we're going to add all of our information. So we are going to make a cheeseburger. So this will be a lunch item. Our category will be entree, because this is our entree. Our process will be same day service. As a hamburger, it makes one. So we're just going to put one in here. Serving, I'm going to put one serving, but I could put one sandwich, like, you know, whatever. Oops. One serving. Name, I'm going to call this the HPS cheeseburger. And then description, because I'm creating a new recipe, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to put in the same thing, HPS cheeseburger. But when you're bringing in a recipe, it's always going to bring that into the description. I hope that made sense. Spanish, if I wanted to do that, again, I can choose my school. Okay, I'm going to start adding my items. I want to make sure when I'm doing that, number one, I'm on my item toggle, because I can make a recipe and put that in here as well. But I want it to be an item. And I'm going to go through all, because I might have items that I haven't already purchased. So here's my beef patty, and it is number 100,650. I type that in, it brings it up here to the staging area. I'm just going to click on that. Then I, oops, brought it right down here. And notice it brought in the right amount for my total servings up here. Next, I'm going to add a bun. 517810. And when I click on that, it brings it down here. Again, brought in the right amount for my total servings up here. I'm going to add some cheese. I don't know if you noticed it on the cheese when it came up, I brought up 2 ingredients for that cheese. I always picked the Gordon Food Service one. The other one was a dot. The Gordon Service one should have all the information that's correct in it. Sometimes there can be a discrepancy. 571720. I'm going to add a packet of ketchup to my cheeseburger. All right, so here are all of my ingredients. and the right amount for the serving amount I have up here. Now, when I'm done, I can go ahead and change this, because if I want to use this and we're going to feed 350 students, I can go up, I can change this total servings, and it'll reflect down here. It will scale up, it will scale down. When you're making a recipe, make the recipe put it in for what the recipe makes. Don't be worried about how many students you're going to serve. Just worry about what the recipe makes, and then the program will scale up and down for you. I don't know, Kevin, are you there? It looks like there's some people in the lobby. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting them as they come in.
Okay. Again, over here, our prep instructions, these are for the ingredients. So these are the instructions that are in there. Maybe you want to remind them to pull those buns out the night before to thaw. If you have any directions you want to put on this cheese or the ketchup packet, you go ahead and you would do that here. Now, because we're creating a new recipe, there are not any prep instructions. So we would have to go in and type those in. And then here's our nutrition and our meal component information. And again, we have to go ahead and make this change here. If we don't do this, if we were not to do this and we create the recipe, we will get this warning. It's letting us know that this information, what the program's calculated and what we've put into this box do not match. Are we fine with that? If you hit yes, this is okay. Just know that when you look at your production record and your meal component information, when you do an analysis, it's all going to be wrong because it's not counting the meat. It's not going to count the grain. You have to go back, you have to redo this to correct it. So make sure you get this information into the box. 2.5, 2.5. And our grains are 2. I don't think we have anything else. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create this recipe. And I did the same thing with this one here. I already brought up my picture. So here's my picture. Let's see if this one works a little better on calculate my price. Okay, so we didn't have a case price on this cheese. So let's go ahead and put that in. I believe that this was a special order product. That's why that information is not in here. So with that case price at $20, I can see that this burger costs $1.23 a serving. So that is that. We could do that same thing. We could export the PDF. We've kind of gone over everything there. I did neglect to mention that when we are bringing in a recipe, like these celery sticks, oh, it's not there. It should show, oh, because I changed it, that's why. I wonder if it's on the other one. We go to these shared recipes, and when I pick this on this detail, I'm looking at a shared recipe. Sorry, I'm kind of all over. I can see who created that recipe. So if I had any questions, here's this email, I could go ahead and I could contact them and ask them. They chose to share these recipes, so it's okay to contact these individuals. That is the recipe section. It's not too complicated. Just remember to do your recipes for how many the recipe makes, not how many you're serving. We can go back, we can look at this cheeseburger that we just made. I'm going to go here to edit because I made it, so it only made one cheeseburger. I'm going to serve 250 kids. So I need to know how much of everything I need. When I do that, get a little ahead of myself. It will change down here. But that is the recipe section. Are there any questions today on the recipes?
Kathy, there's a couple questions, and Christine seemingly answered a couple of them, but one question from Sally is, how do we know? Oh boy, I just lost it. Let me get back to it. How do we know if we have to create a recipe? Example, do we need a recipe for pizza? And I think Christine answered that, but just if anyone's not looking at the text, is our program, that's one of the, we feel the benefits of the program is you can create a menu without using a recipe. Some applications make you do a recipe for everything. That's not wrong. But if you can create the menu within that strategy of just using items, you're more than welcome to do that in our system. So that it's very much up to you. You can create a recipe if you want, but for some items like pizza, like Bosco sticks, you could simply just put Bosco sticks. I'm serving 2, and then in the vegetable portion, you could say I'm serving a half a cup of marinara sauce, and then that would be your menu for the day with the milk and the fruit. And then Christine says, how do we determine from the recipe cost analysis if information was correct? If it wasn't so obvious, like the yogurt, what formula does program use? There's not a magical program with it. It's bringing in the information based on the item detail. And really, if you double check the case cost and you double check the units per case, then basically it's going to be correct. Now, a good example of that is commodities. If you bought that hamburger patty and the commercial price was $84, but the commodity cost was $25, you would go in, you would change that case cost to $25. You would make sure there's 90 servings per case, and then you're going to be in really good shape. But really, those are the two things. It's not really magic. It's making sure that that the right cost came across and the right servings per case is properly indicated in the item detail. Karen asked what UOM means, and that's unit of measure. Karen answered that, thanks. And then where can I find the previous trainings? I missed the first 2. I'm gonna let Kathy answer that one.
The trainings, you can find those on our website, hpsgpo.com. Go to the member login site. If you need information to help you create a site, let me know. You do need an access code. And then you go up here to the 3 lines are called the hamburger, the HPS University, menu planner. And then we're going to scroll to the bottom, and here's that information. So if you need information, the video is here and the workbook's here. And then today's video will probably be up sometime tomorrow afternoon. And then this is where you would go, session 4, you can go ahead and register for that here. And then I'm not sure when he makes the workbook available. Oh, it's available now. So that's how you do that. Okay, has there been any updates, fixes for getting the correct SLE when using a recipe within a recipe? I have done this a few times, and sometimes the SLE gets doubled when you import the recipe. Okay, so the question is, has there been any updates, fixes for getting the correct SLE when using a recipe within a recipe? I have done this a few times, and sometimes the SLE gets doubled when we import the recipe. I am not aware of any of that going on lately, so my assumption is that it's fixed, but I will double check on that, Karen. As Karen did mention, you can add a recipe into recipe. So if I was making this cheeseburger and maybe I have some mayonnaise that I make, like you're really going to do that for school, but I can switch this from items to a recipe, and then I can add my recipe to a recipe. So that's what Karen's talking about, adding a recipe to recipe. As far as I know, there's not a problem right now with that SLE component doubling up. But I will double check on that, Karen. Okay, thanks. Does the servings per case mean the servings per case based on the nutritional label? How many servings Per case based on the recipe ingredient quantities. Okay, thanks. Does the servings per case mean standard servings? The servings per case comes from the label on the package. I hope that answers your question. When I'm entering the ingredients and I change the serving size, does the program automatically change the calories and such, or do I need to do that? No, the program will do all this for you, Nancy. For example, this is going back to Christine's question, which was about the cases. For example, 72 servings, pieces of pizza per case, but for some reason our recipe calls for half a slice of pizza. Would the calculated servings per case be for the 72 or the 144? It would be for the 72. Whatever's on the box, and if the box is the nutrition label says 72. All that information, remember that's up here when we look at our ingredients. Cheapers, these aren't good ingredients to look at, but here, Tyson. So I went to the ingredients and nutritional facts. This is where that information comes from. So it's 150 servings per case. If you need that to be different, you would click on this edit. And then we would scroll to the bottom and you'd have to change that information here. So your pizza, you're getting 144 slices. Or I guess you could put a serving size as 0.5 of a slice. I'd probably do 144 though. Okay, I think all questions are answered. If there's no other questions, it's 10:30. We do like to be mindful of your time.